Herb Kim. What's going on here?
It's a kickoff event for our CultureCode Initiative, basically an attempt to try and build a more thriving, collaborating community between artists, arts organizations, cultural organizations, and the sort of data tech world. I guess our thing is around connecting people in new and interesting and hopefully real ways. What I'd really like to see is basically some cool stuff coming out of it. I'd love to see some projects and collaborations that people can point to over the web and that people spread around. They go, wow, some cool art stuff, but also some practical stuff. You and I know that some of these tools are just actually easy if you just invest some mental time and some of your own personal time. For some people, they'll want to create whizzy new, amazing new art forms. Other people would like to see some more people come along to the shows. And those are two very different digital missions, but they both can be enabled by tools. And it's investing some thinking before you invest some money into all this stuff.
A whole load of developers get together in a room with a bunch of data sets. That's kind of the bottom line. And it's a fast prototyping environment for all manner of technology. And they're quite difficult to explain, mainly because you actually don't know what's going to come out of them. It's a purely experimental, innovative environment.
What is everybody asking you?
They're mostly asking about their data. They're mostly asking what they can do with it. And I've spent most of the time talking about the fact that not just their data that's important, it's how their data relates to everybody else's. So it's how we find links between different data sources to find new meanings and what people are producing, where we can find new possible uses and new meaning in that data.
Tuna mayo?
Lunch is being dished out on the bus as we wing it between two locations. At the moment we are in Middlesbrough and we are heading back to Newcastle.
Tonight's event is the first time where we bring the techie world and the developers and the designers with the artists and the arts and the culture organizations to meet up, start talking, start hatching plans, start building relationships. And so tonight's event is hopefully the first of a set of beautiful new relationships and friendships that we'll see flourish over the weeks and months to come.
I was trying to show off the cool things that can happen out of hack days if you make your data open to people, because they'll always surprise you and they'll be hopefully more interesting than stuff than you might have brainstormed if you just stared at the data.
A lot of it does depend on us and our enthusiasm. It's really important that we stay in contact with these people and that we prove to them just how much it can help their business and their organisation. If we don't prove that through this, then we're not going to keep their attention.
The real effects are going to be felt long term. We're going to have this kind of small explosion with all the events we're having over this short period of time. But the real thing that we really need to track is the long-term relationships that are formed during this.
Well, this is the end of a 4-stage process. This is where the magic happens. We're going to have lots of developers and designers here. We've got lots of cultural organisations and artists. We've got 32 organisations who've brought their data and over 120 data sets, so that's quite exciting. Once they've all taken 2 minutes to say who they are and what data they brought, we'll be going downstairs for lunch and everybody will start talking about what they're going to do for the rest of the day. Then the hacking will start. They'll do that right the way through for a good 20 hours. Then the cultural organisations and the artists will have seminar programmes.
Let the hacking begin.
When the folks came in today, they probably didn't have much of an idea about what data they'd be using. I mean, these guys probably didn't know they'd be working with any of this data to start with, didn't have a clue what they'd be doing. And that's the interesting thing. I mean, people's emotional reaction to the data and people's own sort of perspective on the data is what really creates something cool.
One of the data sets was about traditional music, and one of these guys I heard say, when I heard about traditional music, this is totally out of my normal sphere of interest, and I think I'm going to get involved in that, which I thought was fantastic. The art is leaking into his life in between the numbers, I suppose. You stayed up all night, didn't you? Look, shunning away, don't talk to me.
Yes, I stayed up all night. I think it's just that time at about 4 o'clock when no one else is awake and it's just kind of, but once kind of the sun comes up, I think it's pretty much okay.
James Rutherford, your team won.
We looked at child poverty statistics and we looked at this through the eyes of a 12-year-old girl called Hope, who we created a fake Facebook arena for. But as time goes by, a couple of the older messages have dots by them. You click on the dot, it reveals the stuff under the surface, the stuff that she's actually thinking but not revealing. It says something about the personal and the mask that you present.
This is it, the closing moments of CultureCode and the CultureCode Initiative.
I'm really, really proud of what's gone over the last couple of months. It's been down mainly to key individuals. They've all been really brilliant at kind of realising the longer term potential of this. Hopefully, the start of a conversation.
I don't think there's going to be anything other than good grow out of this. Good collaborations, good use of data, good projects, doing good things, but on the whole, good people.
Yeah. That makes me smile.